This is episode 213 of the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Control and Compound Financial. They teach real estate investors how to multiply their wealth using infinite banking strategies. For a complimentary wealth coaching session or to learn more, visit www.controlandcompound.com/Andrew Hines. I've got Walter Galvao on the show today, and it was a great conversation. I really liked talking to Walter. He's a very well-established businessman. Been doing many different successful things in his life, and he's into real estate development now. He's been a real estate broker for 4 years, and he just knows how to get himself around the right people and constantly grow his mindset. He firmly believes in you become the average of the people that you hang out with, and your network is your net worth, which I couldn't agree more with. I think that it's all about who we surround ourselves with, and we just had such an awesome conversation today about business building, time structuring, time blocking, also development, of course, and just everything in between, how Walter looks at business and how he looks at growing his mindset. It was a really refreshing conversation, a topic matter we haven't really focused on in a while on this show, and one that I think is extremely important. So I know you're going to get a lot out of this. I wanted to start off by saying thanks to everyone who came to the Investing in the US Mastermind. Since I'm recording this before the event, I can't tell you how it went exactly, but I'm sure it was awesome. And we may or may not be doing another one. You'll just have to check in with me if you're interested in coming to a future one. And of course, I'll make sure that we send out some information on that if we are. Some other things to note is, one, we have the GTA West REI meetup happening in March, and it's going to be happening at the West Ave Cidery, which is actually just outside of Carlisle. So it's in the Hamilton area. It's actually only 12 minutes from my house, so I'm super pumped about that. I'd like to invite you to come. So I believe it's on the 16th. Please make sure you're in our Facebook group, because that's where we post the events and all the details about where to go, how to get there, etc. So make sure you join our private Facebook group, which is available through the link in the description of this YouTube video, or if you're an audio listener, it's going to be in the show notes. So with that being said, please hit the like, subscribe, notification bell if you haven't already done so. And if you're an audio listener, please leave a 5-star review and rating. It would be so greatly appreciated, and it helps more people to find the show. Let's jump into episode 213 with Walter Galvao. Hello and welcome to the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. I have Walter Galvao on the show. Walter, thanks for doing this. I know we had a little confusion in the booking, but you came as scheduled. No problem.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for having me on your show. I've been watching you for quite some time now, and I have much respect for a lot of the guests that you've had on the show as well. So it's an honor to be here if I can.
Awesome. Yeah. And you came out to the meetup. Yes, another organic podcast guest. That's how it seems to happen. So if you want to get on the podcast, come out to the meetup. Not a guarantee, but good thing to do.
Yeah, and it was a good meetup, actually. A lot of great networking with different types of people from different backgrounds. So definitely would like to attend any future meetups you might be having.
That's the cool thing, because like we've had them as big as 100 people and as small as say 40 people. And you know what, even at 40 people, it's actually in ways better because you get to kind of get into some deeper conversations. I find 100 gets like a little
chaotic,
crazy. A little crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
It's hard to really get into a deep convo with many people.
Yeah.
You're kind of just like, oh, here. So yeah, we're actually going to be doing a new location for March.
Yeah, I heard about that when you were saying that last time.
It's going to be West Ave Cider. They said they agreed to have us. I think it's the 16th or 17th.
Right.
Confirm that for anybody in the group. If you're not in the group, confirm in the group. I think we already have it listed. So anyways, not to go tangent, but we got into talking. I know you're a fellow Burlingtonian, sort of. At Lowville, still Burlington, right?
Yeah, Lowville, yeah.
Tell me about yourself. What do you do, and what led us to this point?
Sure. So the first areas that we kind of met before was when I am a real estate broker, licensed agent. Been since about 4 years now. When I first got into being a real estate agent, I was doing actually more commercial. Then I got into the luxury market. And we actually met quite some time ago at an event where Ken Beckendam and Dylan Suter were doing an event at our Keller Williams office.
And I remember that exact event. Okay,
yeah, it was actually really good.
Were we like sitting beside each other?
We were sitting side by side.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
Okay, I'm remembering this.
Yeah, so that's how long it went. And you were actually just wrapping up on a development, doing cottages or something at the time. And so anyways, we engaged a very brief conversation then. Then I'm actually doing my own developments. So we just finished one in Milton, sold that one off, thankfully. Now we're doing 9 luxury bungalows in Georgetown, and we just acquired another piece of land on Barton and Milton again to build another custom home. So, I branched as a real estate agent and broker, and then kind of transferred over to the development side of things, just because I definitely saw an opportunity.
Yeah, and I've noticed this with a few realtors. One would be a friend of mine, Carlo from London, not really doing much realtor business anymore. He keeps his license, but mainly as a tool, it kind of facilitates his own transactions.
Right.
And know another guy who's been on the show, Marco, whom it may change. I'm not saying he's still not, but I asked him, and he's like, yeah, not really doing that. I refer most referrals back out to somebody else. So are you kind of in that position too, where you're not really actively trying to take on clients? It's more, focusing on your developing business, or are you doing both?
I'm doing both, and I do have a team that work with me. I got a COO that assists me with the back end stuff.
So you've turned it into a business.
Correct. I literally turned it into a business, and I do believe in always diversifying into multiple streams of income as well. Plus, I'm actually in the process of doing my own app for real estate industry as well.
App? Did you say app?
Correct. Yeah, app. Yeah.
So multiple streams. You weren't kidding. Right?
Yeah, and again, it's just because you have your highs and lows with any type of industry that you're in, or any potential business that you're in. So always from the onset, my background is very entrepreneurial. I just felt that you can't rely on one, basically.
Okay, give me the backstory then. Before being a real estate agent, you said you're entrepreneurial. How did you come to real estate?
Yeah, so I was actually an owner, part shareholder of the Mississauga Convention Center. So my background was actually 23 years in the hospitality industry. So we used to do a lot of high-end events, whether it was corporate events or doing social events for affluent families. And the market started to change. I then decided to open up my own event design and decor company, left the convention center, sold off my shares. And again, I started doing big events for casinos and Fortune 500 companies. But the market went for a downturn. People were spending less. There was a lot of DIY brides out there in the marketplace. So I started to say, I got to get into something else. So I would literally ask my clients, listen, you know me very well. What do you think I should get into? And majority of them did say real estate. Because in my mind, Andrew, I always had a real estate agent as almost like a vacuum sales person or used car salespeople. But that was just maybe because of the experiences I had with other realtors. I never really saw it as a true profession, I'll be quite frank. But once I got into it and I saw all these opportunities, there's so much opportunities out there for the serious real estate agent. Yeah,
I like the differentiation you made there, because I actually do think the majority of real estate agents is probably not a serious profession for them. If we're being blunt, the ones that fall in the circles where their niche is real estate investing, they tend to understand more about it. They have an angle, and they attract a certain type of client they work with, and they are a real value add.
Correct.
Not to say I think it's like an 80-20. It's like anything else. 80% aren't really that great. The biggest value is being delivered by that 20%.
Yeah, and a lot of licensed individuals out there, because I believe we're now at 63,000, if I'm not mistaken, in Ontario.
A lot of them don't even practice.
You got it. Yeah. So I wish we were like Manitoba, though, where if 80% of your revenue was not generated through your real estate license, they'll actually revoke your license. So it'd be nice if that happened here in Ontario, but
just clean out the
clean up. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I never worried too much about that type of thing, right? Correct. Like, because the cream rises to the top. It doesn't really matter. Like, if you're good at what you do, people hear it in how you speak.
Yes, and that's another key thing. Like, I just met with a client yesterday. We were meeting with her for talking about listing her property, but we ended up engaging in conversation for 3.5 hours. That I looked at her whole real estate portfolio, her whole goals and objectives for her own businesses, and we actually just put an offer this morning on a property. And what she said was interesting. She said, I thought you're going to be listing my property. Meanwhile, you're telling me to keep the property as there's so much equity in it. And I'm basically telling her, let's buy another property with the equity you have. So I don't come from like a desperation. I just literally come from a consultative approach. And that's where my success has been. And then from there, dealing with high developers, whether it's small, medium, or large, I treat them all the same, and they love that about me, that I'm very transparent, very open. To me,
are they open to answering questions at the big level? Like, if you ask them?
Yes, and they do that just because of the fact that they're seeing I'm not just trying to get a deal done, that I just really look at their goal and objective. That's what I review.
Jake calls it commission breath when people just want to close it. Oh, he's got commission breath.
Yeah,
I always made the joke that it was a stinky cologne. Desperation is a stinky cologne. But,
yeah, it's funny you're saying. I just heard that actually yesterday on Instagram reel, but it is true. Commission breath, desperation is another big one. Yeah, especially in this market, it's changed.
Yeah, it really is. Like anyone, they know it. Like they could see it. Like you cannot go in, like if you're hurting financially in your job or in your sales business, you cannot go into a meeting thinking about that.
Correct.
You have to be thinking about not what's best for you, what's best for your client.
And again, my success has been multiple transactions with the same client.
Yeah.
And that's really what my goal is. And if it's not that client, they'll actually refer me many other clients because of the level of service I was providing to them. Especially on the commercial side. So when I would list somebody's luxury property, they're like, listen, we really enjoyed working with you. Do you also sell commercial real estate? And I said, yes. I don't do commercial leases, but I do the sales part of it. And they're saying, yeah, because you're always reachable, because most commercial agents do not work past 5 and do not work on weekends or long weekends.
I thought that was the why you go be a commercial agent.
Yeah, you see, with myself, I do work. It's just my work ethic. And that's what they love about me. And that's how I get continuous streams of referrals.
Okay. So where do you, like, what's the goal? Because I mean, people who do that, there's got to be something driving. Some people, it's literally just the fun of doing it. Like they just love doing it. Some others, they're so clear on where that takes them. Which category do you fall into?
Yeah, it's actually a little bit of both. So I'm very passionate about real estate. I've always have been. I own obviously my own investment properties and land that we're using for development. But I just love the fact that it's a tangible asset. I never liked the financial sector. I've actually lost, money in the past with it. And I've always been a big believer in an asset portfolio. So that's number one. It comes from a passion. I don't feel like I'm doing a job. I just feel like I'm doing what I'm very good at and what I like to, wake up every morning to doing.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is I do treat it as a business. I find a lot of realtors fail or they're not successful because of that. So I look at my, return on investments. I look at my financial performance on a regular basis as well. And I really watch my spending.
What return on investment do you see in real estate as a business? Like, are you talking investment of time? Are you talking investment on ad dollars?
Yeah, I definitely time, number one, because again, if it's going to devote too much or take away a lot of my time, I got to put that in perspective.
And is that like a hindsight evaluation? Like, this is one type of client I deal with and here's how it's yielding. This is another type of client I deal with and here's how it's yielding.
It's that, but it's also not being stuck with the mundane tasks that I can hire a virtual assistant, whether it's locally or abroad, that type of thing.
I think our assistants were talking after hours last night,
which is great.
I was messaging Jane and she's like on the phone with Walter's assistant right now.
Yeah. And so I use some, abroad. Some of them I do have an in-person assistant, which Ryan's amazing at. But again, I don't waste my time doing administrative stuff, as an example, or my social media content. Some of it is directly done through me because I do like to have that personal touch.
Yeah.
So I'm very cognizant about spending my time. I love doing podcasts like this, and I'm more of a face-to-face networker. I don't like cold calling or door knocking. It's just not my thing. But attending events and networking, I love that.
So that's your typical process. Like you'd go to an event like the one that I hosted and you'd meet people and from there something would grow.
Exactly. Like your event, it's funny because our sphere starts to, overlap. So Eva Young from Scotiabank, she's actually my representative at Scotiabank, and I refer a ton of business because I love the way she works. And then after, Jacob, I know as well from the past. So again, we reconnect. So even though they're part of the same connections, it's nice to reassociate yourself because you get distracted sometimes, and it's like, hey Jacob, what are you currently looking for these days, or what are your clients' appetites, and then you just re-engage in conversation that way. But so that's one. Another one is conferences. I do attend Canadian Wholetown Investment Conference. It's coming up. We also attend the Land Pro Conference as well, where there's developers, lawyers, and planners that are attending that one. And I really engage with other professionals such as planners and lawyers because I do get referral business from them as well. So it's a very cliquey group, to be honest, but once you're in and you've developed a really good reputation, they like that of that part of me.
And I like talking business building, so I'm going to keep asking you questions about this. So when you're building the business, engaging in these talks, I think a lot of people who are in real estate are entrepreneurs. So
Yes.
a lot of them have done sales. They've been in this niche. A lot of them are realtors. How are you giving value in those situations to make people want to continue the discussion with you?
Yeah. So whenever I attend a networking event, I don't do what's benefiting me or what's in it for me. I'm really looking at it. Listen, tell me what you do. How can I help you out? Is there anything I can assist you with in the interim? Why don't we set up a meeting and have a conversation? Because again, your goal is to network with as many as you can in that particular time period. And that's really my shtick is I don't focus and be selfish. I actually go there with a different state of mind. And once you put stuff out like that in the universe, you always get compensated after somehow.
I like that. I've been, that's been my angle with the podcast, right? It just gave. Probably should have asked a lot sooner with it, but yeah, I think my first real ask was this mastermind I'm hosting next weekend. Which, by the way, guys, a couple more. By the time you're watching this, it's too late. But to all of you that are coming, I hope you had a great time last night. So, anyways, yeah. So it's about giving that value first,
right?
And I really think that there's something to that. And honestly, it just feels better.
It does.
Like it's just a better way of doing business. There's been things that I've done in the past where I'm like, I don't really like the feel of doing this.
Yeah.
I want to get into a true win-win, like where everybody's just happy. I've always thought real estate checked that box, especially when I was like building houses to sell to investors. The investors were happy. They were getting a cash flowing property. The tenants were happy. They were getting a tip-top brand new renovated house. And I was happy because I was making some profit.
Exactly.
So that's a win-win-win. And those are the ones I shoot for. So what you're saying, hey, you're helping people, and then you're going to help them again as their realtor down the road.
And I think it just goes as a chain reaction. If everybody has that same mindset, then it becomes a very successful outcome. But when somebody becomes greedy, it can divert and go in the wrong churn. So I'm older than you. I'm 51 years old, and as I get older, my lifestyle changes as well as my expectations on outcome changes as well. So I don't have time to waste. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I learned just from experience, follow your gut feeling, follow your instinct. If you feel it's going to be a time waster, just move on to the next. And also, if it doesn't really set well with me that I'm going to be passionate about it, I just don't get involved in it.
That's good. Yeah, you're just following your gut.
Yeah.
I've learned to follow my gut as well.
No, you did. I mean, look how far you're going. You're going to Florida, doing development. That's phenomenal. And there's other Canadians that are doing the exact same thing.
The more time passes, the more I trust my gut more than anything, right? Because I can be very analytical, but at the end of the day, like if you can't follow your gut, you're just not going to go anywhere.
Right. And it comes with experience because you went through trials and tribulations with other development projects. But the other thing too is I believe in over-analysis is really paralysis sometimes. You just got to follow your gut and, jump with 2 feet in and take it from there. And in worst case scenario, you're going to learn from that particular opportunity. Do
you have any tricks on quieting the noise to be able to better understand what your gut's telling you?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in podcasts, in seminars, in webinars. Even though I'm 51 years old, I'm constantly learning. So if I'm in doubt of something, I would definitely research what it is that's making me have that doubt to make me feel more comfortable, or even engage in conversation with other professionals, that we share a liking to get their opinion about it as well. But I'm pretty confident. I would say 95% of the time, I don't listen to the noise. I just literally will go. I also don't surround myself around negative people. I'm always, surrounding myself by uplifting people. We like to be supportive of what each one of us are doing in our own lives, our own careers, because that is important. Because if you start getting in a downward spiral with unsupportive people around you,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Exactly. So again, you learn that through trial and error.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with community building is especially like the community that I have now with the podcast, the meetup and all that. Like there's so many people who are just absolutely crushing it. That are happy to get together, have a beer, go to the simulator, go play golf. Like that's very valuable. All of a sudden, success is the new norm, right?
Correct.
The norm in an average situation, you walk into, a movie theater or whatever, success is not the norm in that room. but my goal is to get into more rooms where success is the norm, high levels of success.
And it's worldwide. I think as Canadians, we tend to think more local, more global. Now I'm dealing with people from Dubai. I'm dealing with people from China. These individuals are families with, $400 million.
Yeah, way more money than you'll find around here.
You got it. And you just got to be careful, obviously, with our foreign, investors.
It's hard to bring money over from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even from India, I just spoke to this person yesterday that they're saying they're going to be charging now a percentage when money's removed from India and brought to other countries as well. So again, there's a lot of different things happening globally. But again, once you have a platform such as your podcast, or you're very exposed in the marketplace, like my big thing is LinkedIn. Hands down, 80% of my business comes from LinkedIn.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So
I'm not on LinkedIn.
Oh, are you kidding?
I had my profile was canceled for some reason. They asked for an ID, and then I just never went anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, honestly, if you there's a lot of guys in LinkedIn, they do podcasts like this. They'll do more short reels,
and post them on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Honestly, you will see that a lot of people don't comment when you're doing a
they're
post.
paying attention.
Yes, or they're DMing you on the back end because they don't want people to know that you're asking.
They don't want to be associated.
You got it. Exactly. So honestly, if you've not been on LinkedIn, that's a huge game changer.
Yeah, so this is part of, I'll just be like, I like being open with my audience. Is like, this podcast costs quite a bit of money to produce now, right? So, I brought on some sponsors, and that's starting, to sort of cover the cost of it. But to take social media to that next level, it's like, do I leap first?
Yeah.
And trust? I think I'm kind of leaning more to just leap, take on the hire and 100%, like one of these Florida builds or whatever, I'll just sink the profits into this podcast and into getting it out there to more people. Yeah. Because it's already one of the biggest ones in Canada, and I barely do anything to promote it.
There you go.
So I need to start getting it into other channels.
And it's funny you're saying that. I just read this book on YouTube. I forget the exact title offhand right now, but I read that one, and I'm just like, I didn't even know you can make this much money in these different streams within the YouTube platform in itself. So now I am even considering doing it. I never did it before because I was so busy, but it's sometimes, Andrew, that we got to stop and really think about it, because this platform has grown quite significantly. And I know you did some modifications, changing your thumbnails and stuff like that, which they look amazing. But if you expose it further, like a simple thing like translation services,
get them to translate.
You got it into different languages,
into French potentially.
You got it. Yeah. Again, don't think locally, think abroad, because you got that sphere, you got your connections. It's just a matter of asking, where else you want to go with it.
Talk more about this, because you have a lot of business wisdom, right? You've been involved in multiple businesses, and we're definitely talking about development. Don't worry, but we're talking about thinking bigger, thinking broader. I looked at this podcast as being a North American podcast. When I launched it, I had the intent of reaching a lot of Americans, but then it just ended up being more a Canadian based. Not just, obviously I'm very content with that. Being Canadian, I think just Canadians identify with me.
Right.
But I always had the intent of, being open to going back to the US, and opportunity presented itself, went back. Of course, I'll always have the unique struggles of a Canadian investing in the US, or potentially always, unless I became an American, versus, Americans that are already there. So the reason I tell you that is, how do you be broad when you're a Canadian real estate podcast?
Yeah, I think like in your perspective, or people that are doing a lot of US content, is actually getting sponsors from the US side. Because remember, they want our business just as much as we want their business. So it's almost reciprocating itself. Yeah. So I literally think, dealing with lawyers there, or contractors in that capacity, interviewing them on your podcast, because
bring in the more American guests.
You got it. You have the real life experiences. And then after, people will start coming to you for those referrals, for those contractors. So now you're giving more resources to your viewership, if you will.
Stat-wise, the U.S. episodes haven't done as well.
Yeah, you see? But again, if you expose more...
as it grows more,
you got it. And that's what I find now is happening with, local podcasts, like Price to Sell podcast with Matt Campoli. Look, he just exposed a $15 million penthouse in New York. He just did another exposure of a Bahamas property. I think it's like 20 million. So he actually will be going to those sites, exposing those sites on his podcast. So you just got to do the exact same on the US side in development.
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. There's always the adage, the riches are in the niches. although we say niche. But, and I do agree with that. Like I don't like competing with people. I like to think of other people as my brothers and sisters. I don't want to compete against them. I want to offer a unique value proposition.
Right.
I've always wanted to do that.
But even a guy like myself, and we had a very short conversation at the network event. I've always contemplated to buy in Florida, honestly, but I've been to a few different areas in Florida as well. But learning from a guy like you who's done construction in Florida, that's huge. I mean, land is obviously much more affordable here than than it is in Canada. But still, what is the average cost per square foot to build? I have no idea. So you can bring value into that. So what I'm doing next to, just to let you know, Andrew, is actually running educational courses. And this will be over a weekend. It will be a high ticket price item, like about $5,000 I'm thinking about. Because there is no one teaching that. There was someone doing infill development, but there's no one actually doing development in itself. So it could be something you might consider, a course doing development in Florida as an example.
Yeah, so we are doing our Investing in the U.S. Mastermind on Saturday, as of the launch of this is Sunday. So it'll have been last night for all of you who are timing it. And yeah, this is the first step. This is a new territory for me. So we've brought in a bunch of really cool speakers. I've got Glenn Sutherland coming on, who has his own podcast on investing in the U.S. He's going to be there all day. And again, it's about getting in that room with people who are going to bring you up.
Yeah.
And so there's the education piece. We're calling it a mastermind because we want it to be interactive. We don't want it to be a one-way directional like info session. We want to really get people the basics ahead of time, which we've already pre-recorded. And then just get in that room and let's hash it out. Let's talk ideas. Let's answer questions that you have still, and get the most out of that day. So ours is a 1 day. We may do a destination 2-day event, for the next time if we do another. But we'll see. Yeah, it's about doing new things, right? I think Nick asked me to do this probably 5 times. It's like, come on, let's just do it. I'm like, I don't have time for that. Until I finally just said yes. And I'm getting in the habit of saying yes to good ideas and finding a way to make time for it.
And I think people are eager now to do more in person as well. I mean, just the other day I saw, I think it's called the Multifamily Conference coming up.
Yeah, Seth is hosting that.
Exactly. Yeah. And the VIP was like 4,000 Canadian, but I'm contemplating it, honestly, Andrew, because you got to put yourself out there. You got to be, with the big leagues and really, be belly to belly with these guys and have these candid conversations. And literally, you're investing in yourself, really.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going now, more face-to-face events on the larger scale, for sure.
That's so smart to do that.
Yeah.
Are you a member of like a car club or a golf course or something?
So I don't play golf, but you know what? I think I am considering to take lessons this summer, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because I get asked that a lot. Like, listen, let's go golfing. And I kind of feel bad. Listen, I don't really golf. I'm not very good at it. But golfing is definitely something. Because listen, within doing 14 holes, within a 6 to 8 hour span, you can do a lot of good business for sure. Because it puts the whole situation at a different environment. It's not such a pressure sales, if you will.
There's so many benefits. We're going to talk about the benefits of golf in just a second. So just on the note of the multifamily conference, anyone talking to Seth Ferguson, because I know he's not watching this, tell him I want him to come back on before the multifamily event. He can plug it all he wants on the episode. Seth's a super interesting guy, super accomplished. And
and then the parity are 65% sold of the VIP. So that tells you something right there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at it as a filter.
Correct.
The $4,000 is a filter for all the people not willing to pay $4,000. And the ones that are, it's like they've self-selected themselves as people you want to talk to.
Correct. No, you're right. And even the after parties and the networking events after the conferences, they're high level for sure. So I feel comfortable investing in myself to be attending those types of events. So again, I think Seth would definitely be appreciative to be on your podcast, to be honest.
Yeah, he was on, I think it was last year, right before the first one.
Okay.
And he was asking me if I would be there. And I was in Florida at the time, and we had a newborn and it wasn't going to work. This year, what date is it? It's in May, right?
It's in May, May 26th and 27th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit more our feet on the ground with our son. So maybe I can do this year. We'll see. I pick my battles with my wife.
Yes, I know.
I don't ask too much. But anyways, okay, so getting back to why get an expensive golf membership. Not just learn how to play, but join a good country club. This is something been on my mind, and it was just a matter of you want to pick somewhere you're going to be for a long time. So again, it's about self-selection. Like when we were in Florida, we stay in a place called Quail Creek, and it's a community in Naples, and there are Ferraris everywhere.
Oh wow!
Like if you're a member of that golf club, because they have the private club, so they have the community, but then there's also 27 holes of golf course.
Wow!
So if you choose to spend I think it was like 30 grand before, it's probably more now in US. Now you're all of a sudden going to be networking and knowing these people.
Yeah.
Like Jim. Oh, he's the guy with the red Ferrari down the street. He likes to play tennis. We're gonna get a game. We're gonna go have dinner afterwards. These people now become your friends, and people love doing business with friends.
Yeah,
that's the key, right? People want to do business with friends,
right? And after they also say too that look at the 5 people you're surrounding yourself on a daily basis.
You become the average.
You got it, correct?
Right. So you want those friends because the ideas and the way they think push you.
Yes.
And I think one of the big reasons I wanted to do this event with Nick is Nick's thinking really big right now, and I want that in my life. Like I want more of that in my life. So I thought, hey, not only is it a profitable thing that I should probably do as an experience, but also it brings me up.
Yeah, they're inspiring you to become greater in your own life, which is awesome, and that's the way it should be for sure.
Yeah, I like the way that this discussion went. We don't do this enough on the show, but you were the right guy for it. Okay, so anything else we should cover on this topic before we shift into the development?
No, honestly, I think we just talked a lot about training, being confident in what you're doing, surrounding yourself by the right network of people. Again, that same slogan, your network is your net worth. I strongly am a firm believer with that. And just constant connections, and also set goals to actually have so many connections on a weekly basis. And I think that's where realtors, they have that mindset. To me, though, I'm talking about I just want connections, period, no matter which realm you're from. Because I've been learning as I've been going along, like big time about different opportunities that are out there. So it's not just land, it's not just development, but there are other things like REITs. I'm looking to big time
invest in.
Mix is another one. So I'm actually looking at developing my own REIT because I come across some great land opportunities. Like we just came across a golf course yesterday for $6 million in Kingston. I'm like, maybe we can get a few friends together, create a REIT and buy that.
Well, you could just do a syndication too.
Or a syndication, exactly. That's another thing too. So again, I'm going to that level now because I was helping other clients achieve what they were doing, and I've learned from that as well.
You learn about what they want. It becomes so much more real.
Correct.
So it's not really as complicated as I made that seem because I literally just watched you do it.
You got it. Exactly. And again, we overthink things, or we get terrified about the unknowns.
Sure.
Yeah.
100%. One thing I actually wanted to ask you about, now that you bring it up, because I find being an entrepreneur, one of the biggest struggles I have is holding myself accountable to a weekly structure. So sort of like in the idea of a schedule, of course you can schedule meetings. I've never been a big fan of meetings, but scheduling time to work in your business and time to work on your business. And then of course, time to connect with people. Those are 3 core areas. Are there any core areas you'd add to that? And how do you structure your business?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in blocking time accordingly, because you need to do certain tasks throughout the week. Because if you don't block it, you're just going to get overwhelmed and you're going to lose sight of it. So in Keller Williams, we have this thing called living your life by design. So what I actually will do is I will work on myself personally. Then I add my family to that as well. What do I want my family's life to be by design? And then I work on my career of what I would like that to look like. And then once I have all of those figured out, I start blocking those time slots. So I wake up at 5 a.m. I'm a big believer in the 5 a.m. club. And at 5 a.m., I'm doing my gratitudes. I'm doing my, 10 pages of reading. Now I'm going.
So this is like the miracle morning.
You got it. Exactly. Big believer in that.
Yeah. I've just been doing it involuntary because my son.
Yeah, he wakes you up. And actually,
different reason.
Yeah. And you never go back to the old schedule. Trust me, just keep on going. And you remain a 5 a.m.er for life when you're your father with young children, especially. But then after I focus on then the next part of the business. So, is it networking for 1 or 2 hours with those, new connections that I want to make throughout the week? And then after I focus on following up with clients that I currently have things in play with, just saying updates where we're at, how the weekend went, if there was open houses, that kind of thing. So time blocking is very, very critical. There's this guy actually, I don't know if you know Justin Conoco, he's in the London area.
I know Justin.
Yeah, like he's got these great things on what's the new app platform? That's going to escape me. Clubhouse. He's got these guest speaking engagements on Clubhouse, and he breaks it down by different, sequences of clubs, if you will. And I've learned a lot because I'm a type A, I'm a driver. That's just my personality. But now I really hold myself accountable in the actual calendar itself. I've had coaches, by the way, also holding me for accountability. I do believe in spending money on that. And it's the return on the investment has been phenomenal. Like my business has literally tripled because of that.
And what kind of coaches are you hiring? Are they real estate specific or are they others?
Very good question. So they were real estate specific, but I am thinking about getting a personal life coach actually. Yeah, because again,
it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because again, we think always too much about the business and not so much on the personal side. And I think, as humans, we sometimes need to work on that, whether it's with your spouse, your children, or outside extended family and friends as well. So again, I'm open to things. There's even these really good retreats that are coming out in the marketplace to find as well. Some are just men only. Some of them are retreats for entrepreneurs just to decompress. So I always keep my options open, basically. Nice. Yeah.
I think I can be a little tough to coach for some people. I have spent on coaching.
Yeah.
I at one time I spoke with Stefan Arnio, and I was just looking for somebody who would help me with like wholesaling coaching.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, Stefan, I don't really want to spend the 80 grand.
Yes, I know.
I was kind of thinking just a package, somebody who does a lot of wholesaling. I just want to fly under their wing.
Yeah.
And I got hooked up with one of his coaches. And I think what that ended up being is more just somebody who's a peer that we would just chat.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he had achieved a higher level of success significantly than me or anything like that. Although I had tons of respect for him. It was just like we were sharing ideas. And so a lot of it was me just answering questions for him, like things he was working on. And I think I've kind of made that mistake by not playing that big enough.
Yeah.
I probably should have back then just paid the 70 or whatever it was. And
he passed actually. Yeah. So I actually read all his books and I saw him at this investor summit that was happening at the Toronto Congress Center. But again, with your platform, just put the question out there. Listen, I'm looking to, align myself with a wholesaler successful in Ontario. Let's have coffee. Let's meet up.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised.
And you know what? Things have, changed so much since I was, going down that road. That was like 2019.
Oh, okay.
A while back. Yeah. 2020, started 2020. And, I definitely have like a different goal set. I'm thinking much bigger than that now.
Good.
Development basically, and that's the next thing is large scale developments, large scale syndications. Let's take the principles that work small, because I think I figured quite a few of those out to some degree, and let's scale that.
Yeah. And then listen, you got the contacts, you got the connections, even within your own family, but. To me right now, I'm actually looking at land flipping.
Literally. Just buying it and then reselling it.
Yeah, buying it, rezoning it, maybe even get a draft plan approved.
So that's still development. Still development.
But see, development to me is when you start getting into construction. So I've learned now from
I separate those. To me, those are entirely separate. Exactly. I'll tell people, just because you can develop does not mean you can construct. Sell that piece of land.
You got it.
You sell
and
it to a constructor.
The headaches are much different. Let somebody who has full-time staff
or hire
dedicated to this or hire it out. Correct. Yeah. But even hiring though, I'll be honest, Andrew, like you might think you got a good construction management, but then you find out you're doing 80% of their work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think that's generally the way it goes. I mean, you've got your well-oiled machines, the companies that can do development, construction, start to finish, and they're the big names you'd know. And then you've got the smaller players where they're far more likely to sell it to a constructor. Because it's hard to know if you can trust the people that are, say they can do it.
Yeah.
Because you probably haven't dealt. If you're just getting into development, you probably haven't dealt with people who build on that scale.
But see, as a realtor, there's so much back end stuff that we are privy to information. I signed on myself.
So you find out about stuff.
Yeah, I find out about a lot about stuff. And
is there anything like you're getting like just inside info where this is a deal that's just so obvious and like it's just who you knew?
Definitely. And again, the challenge became for me was the financing side of it, because I'm pretty much over leveraged right now with so many different projects that I have on the go, but that's where the REITs come in or syndication come in.
Yeah.
So definitely we should talk about that, because again, just on Saturday, 2 golf courses up for sale. One was in Richmond, Ontario. The other one is in Kingston, Ontario. And I just start thinking, who am I going to approach about this? Because the opportunity is there.
Yeah, because they can be easily developed into.
Yeah, rezoned, get it in the MZO, especially now with the current appetite with the provincial government, what Doug Ford has done. I know some people were against it, but I'm talking about the new Planning Act, the expansion of the Green Belt. There's so much great opportunity. Then you got infrastructure of transportation, whether it's LRT or 413 happening. So so we're looking at areas like Glancaster, Hagersville, Smithville, and you're looking like, where are these places he's talking about? It's Niagara region. Like, again, Welland is still a very good market for Colborne. Because literally affordability is, if you want to afford, you got to go outside of the GTA, and I'm talking like an hour, sometimes 2 hours.
And I don't see it getting that much better, but for sure, people naturally just they go outside of the cities if they can get a bit of a deal.
Yeah,
it's just very, very basic. Microeconomics, macro. Like it's just behavior. Like it's just what people will do, right? Well, I always say water flows to the lowest point. So
correct, you got it. And I think too, because of COVID, what transpired, people don't want to go back to work, so they're finding careers that they can actually work from home, or some of them are turning themselves into entrepreneurs.
Well, there was that big exodus from Toronto all throughout 2020 and even into 2021. People just didn't want to be in the city.
No.
Not when you're locked down. I mean, the only benefit to the city was being able to, just get all the things you want really quick and go all the places you want really quick. But if they close everything, then you lose your benefit.
Yeah, like I'm talking to business owners that they have to pay pretty top dollar to keep the employee that they had before, to keep them happy, because they were saying, I can get a job at Amazon on, doing customer service online and in my comfort of my pajamas in my home at the same pricing or dollars that they were making. So anyways, there's been a whole different mind shift. So therefore, people don't really need to live in the GTA. They can go in the outskirts and have a very good livelihood.
Oh yeah, I think Hagersville would work nicely. Out of all the towns you mentioned, I mean, I know that as a small town, and it's like, it's about a half hour from Hamilton?
Yeah.
Perfect example. I mean, there aren't any major highways going to it, but you probably have less traffic congestion coming into work if you are going into Hamilton or something like that.
Right.
So interesting. So do you have a deal that you've already done, or is this just the new idea?
Yeah, no. Well, the one I just bought in Milton on Barton Street, that was one hell of a good deal.
But that wasn't a land flip per se, or you're not constructing it, so it is probably a land flip too.
Well, that one we are constructing it, but we bought that one at $879,000 because there's a house on it. Just to let your viewers know, there is a difference substantially on two aspects. When you're doing a vacant land deal, you have to pay park and lieu fee, which on average is about 5% of the appraised value on the land. So I saved money there.
So if you already have the house there, and then you save development charges,
you got it.
Do you have to not tear down? I think we were talking about this. You have to keep one wall up.
No, in Milton, you don't. That does not apply.
In Burlington, people keep a wall up.
Correct.
So I'll see that all the time in town. They'll tear down, they'll demolish everything but one wall so that they can get their credit for development charges, because Burlington's so wise that if you tear the whole house down, then you lose that credit. Yeah, city like London, Ontario, you keep the credit. It goes on file. Yeah. But I mean, I guess they haven't figured that out yet in Burlington.
Yeah, and I think that's going to change too. I think like Oakville's the same. You keep one wall. You're not a full new construction. Yeah. But development charges is huge, because from when we sold 22 Barton, we paid $140,000 just in development charges, and then we paid, I think it was like $45,000. If I'm not mistaken, on the 5% park and lieu fee. So right there, just changing my shift about buying an old bungalow, we're gutting it right down to the core and rebuilding it from scratch. I just saved myself over $165,000. So again, that was on that particular deal. On the land flip though, I was buying big properties, decent size developments for some of my affluent clients. There was one per client, we sold her land for $4.2 million, adjacent to the future GO train in St. Catharines. Yeah. We sold it for 4.2. It's now worth $11 million. She didn't do much. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, I should start doing this for myself.
That's why, yeah.
So now these two golf courses I'm talking about, one is 85 acres, the other one's 125 acres. There's great opportunity there. And again, one's only $6 million, the other one was $2.8 million. So they're not very big in terms of the initial purchase price, but the turnover, once they get those rezoned, it's going to be incredible.
Oh yeah. Can we talk rough numbers on the one you did in Milton there? That wasn't a land flip. So you did you end up building? What did you build?
Yeah, we ended up building a 3,400 square foot home. Okay. That was 22 Barton.
Okay.
The purchase price of the lot was $875,000.
Okay.
When we bought that.
Yeah.
Your hard construction costs, that doesn't include any soft costs or permit fees and stuff like that. We were at $228 a square foot.
Okay.
Yeah, on again times 3,400. This did have an unfinished basement, and we sold it with no appliances.
So you ripped the whole thing down and built from scratch.
Correct.
Okay. So what was your all-in hard cost? Do you know?
Yes. So again, per square foot, it was 228,000. I can tell you profitability, clear. Once everything was completely done, was 450,000.
450,000. So give me an idea of what you sold it for.
So 2.5 million.
2.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were in for just around 2 million, including all your interest. You didn't have development charges.
Correct.
Didn't have
no, that one we did.
Still
had development charges and park and lieu fee. But again,
even though it was an existing building.
So that one was vacant land. So 22 Barton was vacant land.
Okay.
The one that we finished and sold for $2.5 million.
Okay. So you just happened to find a vacant lot?
Correct. What it was, again, for your viewers, I always tell people, guys, look at very oversized lots.
So you severed?
They severed it. So
they did?
Yeah.
Oh,
So what happened is he bought the parcel. There was a house sitting on the left side. He severed it, and then he sold the one on the right because it was vacant land. He was smart. And he decided to build on the house on the left, demolished it, and then rebuilt.
Yeah.
So, there's large infill properties that are like this out there in these older municipalities, if you will.
Yeah.
And most of them are in the downtown core.
Yeah. A lot of people look for that, right? They just drive around looking for oversized lots. Oh, yeah, that one looks like I could do something.
You got it.
I've looked. I've never had much luck finding that, but I'll talk to other people who seem to find it.
Yeah, no, and again, there's even this group on Facebook at Infill Development. I think it's Charles Waugh that oversees that one. Yeah. So he actually did a course as well. That's where I got kind of my inspiration to do my own development course. But I really do feel that there's opportunities out there. Another thing too, as a realtor, being that we get exposure on the MLS, is under brokerage marks. If you look at remarks such as estate, meaning that it was an estate sale, or even a power sale, or a foreclosure, there's so many great buys. Like it's incredible, because an estate sale is good for someone who wants to renovate and flip that property. When it comes to a power sale, obviously the bank is taking back, or the lender is taking back the property. But there's still really, really good buys, especially in this market. Unfortunately, people are passing. Unfortunately, people are losing the properties.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of power sales coming up. And I keep saying this, it's the renewals. People are renewing from 2.5 into 5.5. Most of them are going to handle it. They're going to find a way, re-amortize, do something. They'll be okay.
Yeah.
But there will be that handful, that certain percentage, whatever it's, 2-3%, whatever. Yeah. They're just going to start going power sale.
Yeah, because there was people that went into the market, even though you have the total debt service ratio.
Yeah, you met the 5.29 from 5 years ago.
Correct.
But now it's actually more than the stress test.
Yes, and as Simon sells, they're at an all-time high right now too, because there are those that bought pre-construction, they can't close.
So these people are probably taking a bath. A lot of them are probably taking a bath.
Yeah, a lot of them are losing as well. So again, for those people that have cash, great opportunity to buy.
Yeah, it's a sad set of circumstances, of course, but if it's there, you might as well utilize the opportunity, because someone is going to buy these deals, so you might as well.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if there will be a March increase. Some people are saying and some people are saying 0.25%.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think it's going to start to even out.
My prediction is that we're going to see CPI growth start to look a lot smaller, because the bulk of the inflation happened last year. Then who knows? Michael Burry posted this, and I thought that made a lot of sense. Like he thought CPI would actually go negative. I don't know if we're going to see that. We'll see. As we get further into this year, because the real peak of inflation sort of happened last year. What, April?
Yeah,
that was when we got up to like 8% or something like that, and. So you think that's when the most of the damage was done by, but now we've kind of
recovered.
Not so much recovered. It's just not going up as much. So relative to say 10 months ago, inflation isn't nearly as different.
Yeah.
The actual level of CPI isn't as different. Whereas relative to 12 months ago from right now, we hadn't yet reached our peak, which is why it's still showing 5 and 5.6 or something.
5.6.
Yeah. I think that's going to keep going down.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. But has it fixed the problem? No. And the way they're controlling the problem is absolutely so absurd. It's like the most basic questions aren't being asked. Literally in the CPI is rent and mortgage costs.
Yeah.
So now that everyone's paying more in interest, it pushes the CPI up more, but their solution is to increase interest rates more to combat that. Obviously, it's only a portion of it. But what about supply? Did anybody think about maybe stimulating supply, dropping regulation, helping get...
Or discounted development charges?
Yeah, discounting things, just helping get that economy going in terms of supply so that we can drop prices back down.
Yeah. But I think the municipalities are getting greedy too, because I mean, look at our
Toronto.
Property taxes are 7.59%. That's an all-time high.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, in Burlington as well, you know, our mayor's not mostly keen on doing development. Well, then somebody's got to pay for it. Even when you got these people adverse to, you know, this towers taking place or development taking place.
I thought she was pro on the towers, wasn't she?
Sometimes I hear dual conversations. I mean, I like control of towers. Like, we don't need 40-foot skyscrapers in Burlington. But we do need development, especially when it's coming to affordability.
Yeah.
The younger, you know, first-time home buyer, they could likely afford a condo versus, you know, a townhome or a detached, right? So I believe we need those in the market. But I will tell you, my developers, they pushed back. They're not doing development in 2023. They are not even doing launching of sales in 2023. So wait till if you think we have an issue now of inventory, it's only going to get worse.
This is why it's so hard to predict when we've bottomed out. I posted on my sister channel, REI Hot Seat, the other day that I see some signs of the market sort of normalizing.
Yes.
Like, it's not really like falling the way it was.
No.
There's actually signs of inventories coming much down. So that making equilibrium price stabilize. I do, you know, I say that, and I also say I think power sales are going to go up, but it doesn't mean that investors coming in from outside the country, REITs, different funds don't start buying up that real estate, and there's no excess supply. So
and at first we were worried about foreign buyers, but how about the corporate buyers now? I mean,
funds.
Yeah, funds.
Yeah, your Blackstones who have like openly said they're gonna be buying up residential real estate.
Billions.
Like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't they? If they think it's the cheapest it's gonna be.
And also too, when interest rates go up, so does rent costs. And they increase as well. Yeah. And then you got these tenants that are complaining about it, but it is the way the market's going. So, you know, the other one actually outworks the principle of this increase. But again, it's just the actual environment that we're in. So is it really going to correct itself 100%? I don't believe so. As a realtor, I'm seeing multiple offers already.
So you're seeing it coming back.
Definitely. Offer presentation days are coming in. One thing that's not happening, thankfully, is that realtors are not listing the property under market value just to get the hype. So therefore, but people are appreciating that, saying, okay, I understand they're looking for that price. So is it just below list or just above list? So that needed to be corrected, because that was going way out of hand. I mean, you were getting like 92 showings, and you know how many of those can actually really afford the house. I mean, there was one at one time that was listed at 900,000, but really that seller was looking for 1.8 million.
This is when we were in the boom.
You got in the boom.
Yeah. That's just could potentially be wasting a lot of people's times, but I feel like you could just call that realtor up and say, what are you expecting here?
Yeah. But some of them wouldn't disclose.
They won't say?
No.
Yeah. I think, does that put them in a compromised position if they do?
Well, you could definitely say, like,
you know, don't
we
bother
saw
if
a
it's
house
not,
down the street sell for X.
Yeah.
You definitely can use that type of language. But at that market, you just didn't know where it's going to end up at. That was the fear. Yeah. And I think people got so engulfed in that they really didn't know what they were buying. I'll be honest. And now when it comes to refinancing it or renewing, wait until that happens. Appraisals will not be at par.
All the people who were flipping a property in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
And this is why I always said plan A, B, and C, because what happens if the market did exactly that while you were flipping it? If you only had a plan A, then what?
Yeah.
Right? If you got a plan B, we'll just, you know, refi, eat a little bit of what we have in it, and, you know, rent it out and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. Just having thought through, what would I do? And then the ones where you really can't answer, don't do that deal.
No, definitely. And again, too, I definitely say to your viewers to take advantage of the new act. Like, as an example, in Milton, when we are now doing our new permit, we didn't even have to go through site plan approval. That's the beauty about the act.
For how many units?
Just for one.
For a single unit.
One detached. It's in a heritage protected area.
So they've scrapped that. It's no longer needed.
They scrapped it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, actually Burlington used to require it, and then a few years back they dropped that too.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, you needed it for certain types, and then I remember distinctly that there was a time that it got dropped a few years ago.
But I know a client of mine in Burlington, she waited 8 months for a minor variance of 1.5 feet on the side yard of for extended garage. So we got to step it up. We got to, really expedite the timeliness of these processes. And I know they needed to get, obviously the people that are in charge of the committee of adjustments and whatever involved. Mm-hmm. But in today's times, it could be done so much quicker. But again, because there was people not working in the city because they weren't online, everything becomes a delay.
Yeah, if you look at the fundamentals, it really does seem like, prices are probably not going to go down for that long.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying they won't go down further, but how could they stay down? And I've been asking this question over and over again, and I have no crystal ball, but there's just so many fundamentals that kind of say, hey, we're going to need more houses.
Yeah.
And when you have way more buyers than you have sellers, there's, what happens to price?
Especially with immigration increases as they're predicting. And over, they say 80% of those immigrants will be living in the GTA. Where's the inventory?
Where are they going to go?
So at some point, it's going to start picking up again, in my opinion.
What's Toronto, what's the GTA going to look like from a living standpoint when the prices go that crazy?
Yeah, and then there's a lot of talk about, we'll be like Manhattan, where we'll be predominantly, renting in Toronto.
Well, and London, England's like that, like 97% investor owners, and then 3% like owner-occupied.
But I also see two options for co-living. So that's huge right now in the States, where 2 or 3 individuals are pooling their money together, buying a property, and they're trying to build their equity up in groups, if you will.
I don't know if I love the idea of that. I'd like to see more people with, an acre. They got an acre and they grow a little bit, make a little bit. I think teach people to be more of producers, because I think the cities create a lot of consumers, but not producers, right? How could you produce in a city? You have no space to produce. You're less likely to take on a side hustle because you don't have the room to do it. Things like that. So I think it works naturally for a kind of a less government-run life to have people who can produce, and they're not dependent. Bigger picture. Thinking more entrepreneurial, not as dependent, not as controllable. Because when you're dependent, you're controllable. Abstract conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But definitely where my mindset is, I'd love to see more people getting out into the country and doing things. I think that'd be great for Canada. So
and there's huge opportunities there.
Yeah, and there's all this land, right? We have so much land. That why we all need to be in Toronto.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't need to be there,
especially with the infrastructure. I mean, now they're even having a jet boat coming from, let's say, Niagara Lake to Toronto.
I heard about that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing. So it'll be a hoverboat. Yeah,
hoverboat.
Winter and summer. That'd be awesome.
Correct.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
so I will look forward to riding that. That sounds great.
But even at the airports, like Hamilton's expanding their airline fleet. There was a huge thing with the Hamilton Monroe Airport there. Windsor also as well is expanding their fleet. So it's not just so heavily focused in Toronto. So you're going to start seeing big changes happening in these, smaller communities with airports.
So Walter, tell me about a deal. We're on all over the place, but I like it. I love the discussion. Tell me about a deal like you talked about land flips. Like what's on your radar? You don't have to tell me the exact location or anything like that, but give me the idea of what you're looking at right now that seems like a good deal.
Right now, we're looking at very large parcels of land, zoned agricultural, that there's potential that it will be coming into an urban boundary anywhere from like the 2 to 5 year mark.
So that's a greenbelt expansion kind of thing, probably?
Yes, greenbelt expansion, or just it's coming into the urban
official
boundary.
plan. So you've looked at a city's official plan, you know that that's within a boundary for a certain time frame?
Exactly.
Do they give you that detail? They say within...
They will say we predict X. It becomes more challenging when it comes to the water and sewer infrastructure of roadways and stuff like that. But municipalities are becoming very good because they when the provincial government did do this new planning act, they have their own population targets that they have to commit to obtaining as well. So they're under the rapid fire as well. So if they don't start being more open to actually, turning over their zoning, then they're going to be in trouble themselves. I definitely think it's farmland or very large parcels of land, like 200 acres, where you might get an MZO involved.
What's MZO?
When they actually will take that and put it into the urban boundary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this is happening a lot in Alliston, as an example, Curtis, Kennington, because they want development to go in the west direction, east direction as well.
And in my experience, like dealing with people of the city, go talk to them face to face, get to know them.
Yes.
And they drop little hints.
Definitely.
You definitely learn things from those conversations.
Yeah. And I'm a big believer in attending, meetings, with the planning team, when they're talking about any urban expansion.
Yeah.
Because you want to develop that.
Oh, you
network.
should definitely get into those conversations, especially you're talking about like your
You got
pre-consultation.
it.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
go to those.
Yeah, go to those just to observe or to listen to.
They bring all the city staff into one room.
Correct.
You know, the people who have say so, and they all give their 2 cents. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Now I find it harder these days because there's so much turnover with these planners.
You don't get to know them. Yeah.
They're getting taken over by these developers that are offering more money and more benefits. But just keep up with it. It's worth your while.
And for anyone who's not familiar with this process, pre-consultation is sort of the first step when you go and talk to the site plan office and say, I'd like to do this. They say, okay, let's schedule you in for a pre-consultation meeting. And, here's the things we need from you. And, we need a sketch, we need a proposal, and we'll circulate it.
And you got every person from every department, whether it's transportation, whether it's infrastructure, or
and
whether
you learn
it's
so much about all the
planning.
things they consider.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like
what their
shadow
appetite
and
is.
light, noise. Traffic's a big one. So they'll tell you, hey, you're going to need a study on this, and we think this, and now you get this big list of $100,000 of studies and engineering reports that you need to get, and then
it costs a fortune and
it costs a lot. You pay a consultant to do it, and they organize everything, lots of time. But I've heard a lot of people say that once you get that list, it's pretty much straightforward.
I agree.
Not to say there couldn't be a surprise, because I've been through the process and have had a surprise.
Yeah.
But at least it's, I've heard many stories where that is the list. And when they say it ends up being that. Work with a good planner that knows these people in that office and can predict them. I'd say that's probably some good advice, is to work with somebody who really knows the people working in that office and can tell you what they're likely to do.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too about our group, is that we have access to proprietary information, and we're literally following the big developers.
Yeah.
So if they're going,
so if they're getting approvals, then and that's it's like, where do I have evidence that this works?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if they're paying, investing in the infrastructure on the expensive parts, then you're just basically tapping into those as well in the future. You just got to be patient.
Let them do the work.
You got it.
You can also benefit from them. Yeah, like you said, the infrastructure, like if they're adding sewage capacity and water main capacity, just be near them, and now you can build too.
I agree.
You might as well let them do the hard work for you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of land partnership agreements that are taking place with multiple builders, the big developers. But again, if you're a stone throw away, or if you're across the street, sooner or later it's going to go to that stage. So with our real estate team, is we will actually create decks. So before we're actually even sending it to our potential buyers or interested parties, we actually will do all this due diligence, package it together, let them know what our thoughts are about this particular opportunity, and then they decide from there, work with their planners.
Okay. Very cool. So regarding the projects that you're looking at right now, like what's the price point of acquisition that you'd be looking for?
It could be anywhere from 2 mil, and we were going as far as 80 million. Obviously, when you're getting to the 80 million, you're looking at the 400-acre mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have some private equity investors that are willing or have already expressed interest in joining you on these projects?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And again, anybody that's interested, they can reach out to me, because that is the hardest part, Andrew, is having the people with the funds to actually act quickly. Because there's a lot of competition out there. I'm not the only one that's doing this. There's many people out there on the ground doing it. But it's once you find an opportunity, listen, they're willing to give you maybe 60 to 120 days for due diligence, but you got to close it at some point.
You got to work it,
Yeah.
And if you were to do a deal like that, like what are you expecting your profit to be as a percentage of your acquisition cost? Have you ever worked that out?
Yeah, no, honestly, sometimes we've seen up to 500%.
500% of acquisition costs?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, because...
So you're buying for $2 million, you could have a $10 million profit.
You got it, easily. Yeah. And also, too, the only real hard work you're doing is getting it rezoned, getting it reappraised with the new rezoning, and then you're selling
and then selling it.
Easily.
Perfect. Why not? Very different skill set than constructing. That's why I've always said that's a very different thing.
Yes.
Some people do consider it part of the same and want to do it all. I don't know. I'd say do what you're good at.
I agree.
Do what works well for you, what you have a skill set for.
Yeah.
And enjoy doing.
Yeah, and once I started getting to development, a lot of doors opened for me as well, where people wanted to reach out to me. Can you do my custom home, or can you do development? So I really don't do work for other people, but I will refer my contractors, and they love me for helping them with that. But it's definitely opened a lot of doors for me on the other side of acquisition, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very cool. You seem to do a very good job with connecting with people and building yourself up by getting in those rooms.
Definitely.
And you're learning from them. I love it. Yeah, this is a very, very growth oriented episode, and I think it was well timed. So appreciate you coming on, Walter. If people want to reach you or follow you, where should we send them?
Yeah, so our Instagram is at Accelerate Realty.
Accelerate Realty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after our website acceleraterealty.ca. I'm sure you'll post it as well.
Yeah, I can put those links in.
Yeah, definitely reachable. I'm definitely busy as well. So some people will start talking to me about joining my team. We're not looking at expanding our team whatsoever, but we are firm believers in alliances. So if you're a realtor out there, you got opportunities. Listen, we can work together to get a deal done. And that's where I believe is the future as well. Even with off-market opportunities that, of a friend that has a good potential opportunity, just, share with us and we'll let you know right away.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Walter, really appreciate this. It was great connecting with you yet again. And
thank you, Andrew, for the opportunity. It was great.
Yeah, let's get out and we'll golf Lowville.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Please make sure to share this episode far and wide. Help it help more people. I really appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. There are a lot of people out there talking about the infinite banking strategy and whether or not it makes sense for them. To find out what it's all about and if it's a fit for you, visit controlandcompound.com/Andrew Hines, where my audience can gain exclusive access to books, podcasts, and webinars tailor-made for real estate investors.